All right, let's get straight to it. We're here today for a critical briefing on a new threat called React2Shell. And let's be clear, this isn't just some technical issue for the IT department. This is a direct financial risk to your portfolio companies and to the value of your technology investments. The goal here is simple. In the next few minutes, you're going to understand this threat and have a concrete plan of action.
So let's start with a number that should get everyone's attention. React2Shell has a CVSS score of 10.0. In the world of cybersecurity, that is the highest possible danger rating. It's a perfect storm, easy to exploit, needs zero help from an insider, and the impact is catastrophic. This is a full-blown code red alert.
And the scale here is just staggering. This isn't some niche problem hitting a few poorly run companies. We're looking at a systemic risk. It's estimated that 39% of all cloud environments are potentially exposed right now. Why? Because this flaw is buried deep inside some of the most popular, most trusted tools used to build the modern web.
So here's how we're going to break this down to get our arms around it. First, we'll define what this threat really is. Then we'll look at how the attack actually works. We'll cover why it's a perfect storm of risk, lay out the immediate 3-step mitigation plan, and then finish with the crucial strategic lesson this holds for us as investors.
All right, so first up, what exactly is React2Shell? At its heart, it's something called an unauthenticated remote code execution vulnerability, or RCE. Now that's a mouthful, but the concept behind it is frighteningly simple.
Let's just focus on the impact. What this means is that an attacker, sitting anywhere in the world, can get complete and total control of a server. No username, no password, no credentials needed. They can steal customer data, they can wipe databases, they can use that server to attack others, all with a single, simple request.
So you're probably asking, how in the world is that even possible? Well, you don't have to be a coder to get it. The weakness is in a communication protocol that is, to put it bluntly, way too trusting.
Think of it like this. The server has a super efficient internal mailroom called the flight protocol. It's designed to just receive packages and immediately follow the instructions inside. The problem is, this mailroom is too efficient. The attacker just sends a package with malicious instructions, and because the mailroom doesn't bother to check the sender's ID or scan the contents, it just runs the code, no questions asked.
So the crucial point here is that a basic fundamental security check is just missing. And here's the kicker for you as an investor. This isn't some rare misconfiguration. This flaw exists in the default out-of-the-box installation. That means many of your portfolio companies are exposed right now without even knowing it. They followed the official instructions, but the instructions themselves were flawed from the start. And this brings us to the core of this briefing, why we're calling this a perfect storm. It's not just one thing. It's the combination of 5 dangerous factors that takes this from a typical software bug to a maximum severity threat to your entire portfolio. First, as we've said, it's unauthenticated and remote. Think about that. The barrier to entry for an attacker is practically on the floor. They don't need to phish an employee or steal a password. All they need is an internet connection and a vulnerable server to target.
Second, and this is a huge one for anyone doing due diligence, it's vulnerable by default. This is not about finding companies with bad security habits. A company could have a world-class A+ engineering team, but if they used these standard industry-leading tools to build their app, they are very likely exposed.
Third, the attack surface is just enormous. We're talking about React and Next.js. This is the foundation of the modern web. It's used by millions of sites, from tiny startups in your seed portfolio to massive enterprise platforms. This isn't just a risk. It's a systemic concentration risk across technology.
Fourth, it's shockingly simple to exploit. An attacker doesn't need sophisticated gear. A single, crafted web request is all it takes. And security researchers are reporting success rates near 100%. That tells us widespread automated attacks aren't a question of if, they're a question of when.
And finally, the consequences are about as bad as they get. A successful attack isn't just a data leak, it's a total hostile takeover. We're talking about catastrophic data loss, theft of intellectual property, massive regulatory fines, all the things that can completely vaporize a company's valuation overnight. Okay, so we've defined the risk. Now let's pivot to the solution. This is not the time for panic. It's the time for swift, decisive action. And here is the 3-step mitigation plan that you should be communicating to the leadership of your portfolio companies today. The framework is simple and easy to remember. Patch, audit, and mitigate. And it absolutely needs to be executed in that order of priority.
Let's just quickly break this down. The number one priority, the absolute first thing to do, is patch. That has to be followed by a comprehensive audit, and only as a last resort, if patching is delayed, a firewall can act as a temporary shield. Step 1. Patch. This is the only real permanent fix. The teams behind these tools have already released the patched versions. This slide shows the exact versions your technical teams need to upgrade to. There's no ambiguity, no guesswork. This is the direct instruction. Step 2. Audit. Look, patching the main application isn't always enough. This vulnerability can hide deep inside a project's code library. Every single internet-facing application built with this tech has to be considered a high-priority target for a complete audit.
This is the mindset your teams have to adopt, effective immediately. They must assume they are vulnerable and work backwards to prove they are safe, not the other way around. The default assumption has to be one of exposure. And finally, step 3, mitigate. If for some reason patching is going to take time, a web application firewall, or a W, can be configured to block the known attack patterns. But let me be crystal clear here. This is a temporary shield, not a cure. It's a stopgap measure, and it is not a substitute for fixing the root cause. Okay, let's zoom out for a moment. Beyond this immediate crisis, React2Shell offers a profound and, frankly, critical lesson about the nature of risk in the modern software supply chain. And this right here is the core strategic takeaway for every technology investor. Popularity is not a proxy for security. Just because a technology is dominant, just because it's trusted by millions, does not make it invulnerable. This incident shows just how fragile these complex software ecosystems our companies rely on really are. It proves the immense value of proactive, independent security management. So let's conclude with the 3 points to remember. The threat, a maximum severity vulnerability at the very heart of the modern web. The action, your portfolio companies must patch and audit without delay. And the lesson, proactive security due diligence isn't a nice-to-have anymore. It's a non-negotiable requirement for investing in technology. So the question you should leave with is this: how are we really verifying the security of the invisible software supply chains our investments are built on? Thank you.